Midwest Box Trucking. I'm currently picking up a load out of Sauk Village, Illinois, going, I believe, 37 miles over to Crest Hill for a total of $200 and I believe it's $37. It's like $6.60 per mile. But the reason why I'm making this video today is something that I've touched on in the past, but I kind of wanted to reiterate because I've had an issue with it here recently in the last 2 weeks. And I kind of knew better myself. But I had a pickup time at a particular facility of 3 p.m. I arrived at the facility at 2:27 p.m. So I was only 33 minutes early. But when I arrived on site, from what my performance manager is explaining to me, because I arrived more than 30 minutes before the start time of the trip, and you'll get a warning on a lot of these Amazon to third party or Amazon to Amazon during the day, not the night loads. They'll warn you that you're not to arrive at particular facilities more than 30 minutes early. And the app at times won't even navigate you, or if it does, once you get there, it won't arrive you. Well, like I said, I was 33 minutes early from what my performance manager explained to me. Due to me being 3 minutes before the time I could check in, when I arrived on the property, the app refused to check me in. So I waited to after 2:30, and the app still wouldn't allow me to check in. A lot of you guys know how to manually check in, and you could do that in most cases. I tried to manually check in. It wouldn't allow me to do that either. So I had to contact ROC and explain to them, hey, I'm on site. At this time, it was like 2:51 p.m. by the time I talked to ROC. And pretty much what they told me was, go ahead, load up, proceed to my next stop, and I shouldn't have an issue. If I did, then to dispute it. So I did as they said. I loaded up, and I just had to override the app, not go by the app, and go to my next location, which was also the same location I'm going to today, Crest Hill. When I got to Crest Hill, they checked me in fine. You could see that in the app. But they even weren't able to check me out. So I did have an arrival at Crest Hill, which got me paid. But the following week, I took a hit to my performance score. So I disputed it immediately when I saw it on Sunday morning. They were quick about it. They got back with me within a couple days. And they told me that they were going to adjust it. And in these cases, I also always like to contact my performance manager. Oftentimes, he can take care of things quicker, and he can kind of give me clarity on what the issue was that took place and why it happened. So when I spoke to him, that's what he explained when he looked at the trip. He said, you arrived 33 minutes ahead of time. Once you get onto the property ahead of time, when your start time arrives, they still won't check you in. The app won't allow you to check in because you arrived early. So he said you literally need to leave the property, which I've never heard of this. But I know he knows better than I do because he deals with a lot of these cases. So he's saying you need to leave the property, get a ways away, and come back if you arrive early. So that defeats the whole purpose of arriving early. And that's why I'm making this video today, to kind of warn people, because you don't want to make a habit of arriving at these places right at the start time. Things can happen, stuff can come up. You might not be able to find an entrance. It's happened to me, and I've been doing it a little while. So like I said, you don't want to make a habit of arriving at these places right on the minute you're supposed to be there. A lot of us arrive early. So that's why I'm making this, to keep individuals from getting themselves in sticky situations when arriving early. Just wait today I was 40 minutes early. It's a habit. You know, I'm not used to waiting to the last minute. I travel ahead of time. I arrive at my pickup ahead of time. I try to depart the pickup ahead of time. That's just how I like to move. I thought I'd make this just to kind of warn individuals who kind of move in the same manner that I do. Most of the people that I communicate with and talk to that run relay and other freight tend to be somewhat early. But with Amazon, now it's kind of getting to a point where you don't want to be too early, because now you're dealing with an infraction which shows up and hits your score the following week. And then you got to dispute it, and you got to wait almost a week for it to be corrected, if it is able to be corrected. If not, you got to struggle the whole 6 weeks. So it can get sticky. And when I get this information, I always try to bring it to the space in real time. I found out about this last week. So I said, let me make a video and put this out here for the people who sometimes they're 40 minutes early. They want to see if they could get loaded, get out of there, and be at the drop by the time they were supposed to be at the origin or the pickup. I know a lot of people try to move like that and be ahead of the game. I'm not into having freight sitting on my truck for long periods of time, especially if it's longer than necessary. That's just me. Some people like to keep freight overnight or for 5, 6, 7 hours. I'm trying to get the freight on and off and on to the next load as quick as possible. Time is money. The more time that I'm wasting, the more money that I'm losing. That's how I'm looking at the situation. Each his own, but in these situations, like I said, be careful about arriving early. You'll find yourself with an infraction, and then you'll also end up communicating with ROC, attempting to get infraction overturned. Another issue that I recently had, which was something that I've never encountered pertaining to app usage. I went through a trip and followed everything, each leg of the trip, leg by leg. It was an Amazon run. It was actually 7 stops. I picked up on time. I dropped at every drop location ahead of schedule. I actually made a video on this particular night. I dropped in Lewistown. You guys may have seen that video recently. But while completing that trip, Amazon began to email me. They were telling me that I was late to a particular stop, which I was not late. The load had been tendered at 5:30 a.m. The normal drop time to one of the particular post offices was 2 a.m. They wondered why they were getting their freight at 8 a.m. as opposed to 2 a.m. So when they contacted ROC didn't take time to look at the trip and see that I'm not even supposed to drop there until 8:30 a.m. They start to email me and tell me to respond to them and explain why I'm late. And I'm like, I'm not late. I'm actually ahead of schedule. I arrived at the post office by 8 a.m. So I was 31 minutes ahead of time. But ROC was emailing me saying, hey, you're late. You need to explain why. And this normally doesn't happen. If you're on time, you don't encounter these issues. So I ignored it, went through all of my stops. All of my times were on time. For some reason, ROC emails me and tells me, do not falsify the drop times for my stops on my postal loads. And I'm like, what? I went back to the app. I looked at every stop. I mobile geofenced at every stop. I didn't manually check in nowhere. So I'm like, what are they talking about? So the post office complains about the freight times changing, which the freight times were changed by the dock staff. I'm adhering to the app. So according to the app, I'm ahead of schedule. Now I know your drop time changed, but that's because the dock staff changed it because they tendered the load late. So what does that have to do with me? As long as I follow the app accordingly, I should be good. So the following day, yeah, I got an email, and same deal. I emailed my performance manager, and he said you did everything correctly. I don't know why they sent you that email. It's no trip notes in the system. Ignore it. And this is probably the second conversation we've had of that nature in the last month or so. But he did tell me on the initial issue that I spoke of, where I was 33 minutes early to the third party logistics facility, he did tell me not to arrive that early. Even though it was only 3 minutes, you know, he didn't want me arriving that early. But with this issue, he doesn't even know why ROC sent me the email. I guess the post office got on them and they got on me for what, I don't know. But these are the things that I'm telling you guys with the app that you gotta watch out for, because once you get a hit on the app, it's not only hitting you on the app usage, it's also hitting you on your on-time performance. So you're going to have 2 performance metrics that are going to be affected for 6 weeks. And I just experienced that because, like I said, when I had the check-in issue, it knocked me down to a 99% on my app usage and then 95% on my on-time performance, because it had me more than 601 minutes late due to me not having a timestamp at the origin pickup facility. So if you're more than 600 minutes late, it's a 5 times penalty. I went from 100% to 95%, and my app usage was 99%. And I literally had to dispute my on-time performance. They fixed that first, back to 100%, but I was still a 99 because of the app usage. So I'm like, man, I gotta submit 2 disputes. So this was like a 4-day process. I disputed the app usage and they corrected both. And ROC had put some into the trip notes to alert them that it wasn't my fault. But like I said, this is stuff you want to look out for. That's why I put this information out, just to bring awareness and keep people from making mistakes that I've seen oftentimes more than once. And with that being said, you guys stay safe out here, take it easy, and have a good one. Appreciate you.